Welcome to FCP Conversations Online, featuring Bucks County nonprofit leaders. Join our discussion with community organizations that share our mission and are making a difference in the lives of our neighbors.
Hello, I'm Ron Bernstein, the Executive Director of Foundations Community Partnership. Welcome to FCP Conversations Online, and thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Tom Harrington, the CEO of Valley Youth House, which has multiple locations in southeastern Pennsylvania. Tom, welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ron. Glad to be here.
Well, let's get started and understand a little bit about the history of Valley Youth House, where it got started, and what its mission is.
Sure. Valley Youth House started in 1973 when a group of community citizens got together to address the issue of homeless and runaway youth in the Lehigh Valley. They opened a emergency shelter house that had about 13 beds in it to house kids who were kind of going through a crisis. Over the years, the agency has expanded and has added a number of additional housing programs, other emergency shelters throughout Pennsylvania, a behavioral health division with counseling and therapeutic services, a street outreach program, and a beautiful camp for kids.
Yeah, I know that you guys focus a lot on the mission and vision. And what do you feel like are the unique assets of that mission and vision?
I think what's most unique is the commitment of the staff who work there and the philosophy of the organization. We adopt what's called a positive youth development philosophy, where we identify the strengths that youth have, and we build on those strengths, and we try to connect them with other people who care about them. And it's building that long-term relationship, understanding that many of them have gone through trauma and how that's impacted their behavior, but we recognize that their behavior is not who they are. And so it's kind of affirming the strengths that they have and building on that to help them be successful.
Well, you guys do a lot of really important work up in the Lehigh Valley. When did you enter Bucks County as an organization? And let's talk about the different programs you have here in the county.
So Valley Youth House has been in Bucks County for a long time, 25, 30 years. We opened a shelter, emergency shelter in Warminster, and we've been operating that since the late 80s. And that's a 13-bed shelter where we support young people ages 14 to up to 21 who have either run away from home or have been kicked out of their home or taken out of their home by the county Children and Youth Department. And we have a staff there that provides therapy and counseling and help. In most cases, 80 to 90% of those youth are reunited with their families, that we help resolve those crises.
Well, that's really important work, and I've had the privilege to visit that place a couple of different times. So explain to us, who exactly are those kids that wind up being served at the emergency shelter? And for people who don't know, it's actually on the campus of Christ Homes.
So many of these young people have been in foster care. So they've been taken out of their home for various reasons, either abuse or neglect. And we are an emergency shelter. So if a county caseworker finds that a young person needs to be taken out of their home, we're the first place that they will take that young person, and they'll stay with us until we can work with their extended family to find a safer place for them to go or to help them get into the foster care system. So the bulk of the youth we serve are referred by the Bucks County Children and Youth Department.
So, Tom, how long would you say the youth wind up staying at the shelter? And as a second question is, when a child is there, how involved is their family or network to create the next situation for them?
The goal with most of these youth is that they're there no longer than 3 weeks. So some of them it's less than that. In some cases it's more than that, however. But typically it's 2 to 3 weeks, and our staff and the county caseworkers work with their families to help identify and resolve whatever the crises are that are going on at home, so that they can either go back home with their parents, or we identify other family members, extended family members, that they could go live with.
And I know I've seen a van driving around Bucks County, sometimes called the Synergy Project. Could you explain to folks what that is and what they do?
The Synergy Project is our street outreach program. So we have a staff of members who are out on the street, going to locations where we know that runaway and homeless kids hang out. So there are camps, places where homeless adults camp and teenagers camp there also. They go to malls, they go to parks, they go to locations where we know that kids congregate who don't have a place to stay. And they bring resources to those people. So they bring tents or sleeping bags, food, and they work to befriend them to help them get out of those situations and into a safer environment.
It's so hard to imagine that here in Bucks County we have kids living out on the streets. It's pretty amazing.
So the school districts within Bucks County in 2016 identified 900 homeless children in the course of the year. 136 of them are identified as unaccompanied homeless youth. So these are youth, usually 14, 15, 16 years old, who have run away, who don't have any adults in their life. And one of the problems we see is the issue of sex trafficking, where there are people who identify those kids. They know where they're hanging out just as well as we do, and they try to get them involved in things that are definitely not good for them.
Amazing, amazing. I know that you guys also have some supportive housing programs and supervised independent living program. Can you walk us through a couple of those things?
Sure. So if you think about young people who are in foster care, as they age out of the foster care system, many of them don't have families that support them, particularly, when they're 18, 19 years old. They think they're ready to live on their own. The national statistics tell us that 40% of youth who age out of the foster care system end up homeless within a year. So Valley Youth House has a number of different apartments and housing opportunities for kids who are aging out of foster care, and a whole supportive service program where we help teach those young people basic life skills like how to cook a meal, how to do their laundry, how to enter into a lease with a landlord. But we also work with them to ensure that they complete their education, that they have a job, so that when they leave our program, and they can stay in our program for up to 2 years, when they leave our program, they have a job. They're able to take over, many cases, take over the monthly rental payment for the apartments that they're in, and they're off on their own in good stead.
Well, I know you guys recently opened a girls' home, I believe, in Bensalem.
Yes.
What's the story on that?
The county approached us with a need for housing for young ladies, typically 18 to 21 years old, who need a place to stay. For various reasons, they've either left their home or been taken out of their home or run away from home, and they're living on their own. So this is a beautiful house. We dedicated it last Friday. There's 5 bedrooms upstairs. There's a 6th bedroom downstairs for a live-in resident advisor. There's communal eating areas and living areas. And the idea there is the girls who are going there, most of them have experienced some type of trauma in their life. And this is a safe place for them to live, to build relationships with other girls and with our staff, and to go through the life skills training that we offer so that they can move from there within a year or two into their own apartment and live successfully independently.
Now, this is different or separate from your rapid rehousing program?
So rapid rehousing is a federally funded program that takes youth who are literally homeless, and we put them immediately into their own apartment. In most cases, those are scattered site apartments. The home in Bensalem is small group living. Many of these rapid rehousing programs are scattered site apartments, and we have some. Well, in the 12 counties we serve, any given night, there's about 1,000 young people who are in a Valley Youth House apartment of either a supportive independent living program or a rapid rehousing program.
And the rapid rehousing, what age range would you say the kids are who that is providing service for? Is that also open for adults?
No, it's 18 to 24 years old. After 24, we don't support them, and then they go, if they're still homeless, they would go into the homeless, adult homeless care programs.
About a year or two ago, I had a wonderful opportunity to go up and visit Camp Fowler, and spent a great day up there. Can you tell us about Camp Fowler and what goes on there and who you serve there?
Yes, Camp Fowler is a 45-acre camping facility just north of Allentown. Valley Youth House purchased the camp from the Boys and Girls Club about 10 years ago, completely renovated it. There's a brand new heated swimming pool, a dining hall, shower house, cabins. And the camp is, in addition to all the normal fun activities the kids experience when they go to summer camp, the focus of the camp is to present therapeutic programs to kids who are there. And so we're in the process of getting certified by the National Outdoor Behavioral Health Care Council that certifies that our programs actually are meeting the therapeutic needs of kids who've been through trauma or abuse. So the research shows that if a young person experiences trauma throughout their childhood, not only does it impact their behavior and things like their ability to concentrate and get along with others, it actually changes the chemistry of their brain. And they really need to go through some healing. And that doesn't happen with a 1-hour counseling session a week. They need to have more intensive experiences. And for instance, last summer, we saw all the youth who went through that program took part in they completed a depression scale that measured the depression when they showed up versus when they left. And there was a 40% reduction in the depression scale for the kids that went through Camp Fowler's therapeutic camping programs.
Well, that's great. So Bucks County kids get brought up there or are eligible to participate. When you take kids up, is it for a week at a time, or do some go up just for the day?
So we have some day programs and some weekend programs, but the biggest impact is when they spend an entire week with us. And we had a number of youth from Bucks County who spent an entire week with us. We ran a 6-week summer camp program last summer.
Well, that's great. You know, I spent a day and had a great lunch. I really liked the fact that the cottages were air conditioned, so I felt a lot better when I left. So hopefully the kids are feeling better too. Tom, I know that Valley Youth House is really committed to being a strong provider here in Bucks County. What do you see as some of the future for Valley Youth House here in Bucks?
Well, you know, the needs keep growing. The stress that's in kids' lives continues to grow. The opioid crisis is impacting families more and more in the area. And at Valley Youth House, we want to continue to be part of the solution to addressing those family issues and the issues that young people face. One of our objectives is to provide more housing for homeless youth, and to provide more behavioral health services and counseling services. We're looking at the possibility of building a new campus. We have a number of scattered site apartments and houses throughout the county, along with our shelter, which is we rent from Christ Home. Mm-hmm. We're looking at building our own campus that would have not only a new emergency shelter, but would have longer-term housing, a drop-in center for kids to go to where they could take a shower, do their laundry, as well as an administrative site and a place for therapy and counseling services to take place.
Well, I think that's a great vision. Tom, if people want to either volunteer or make donations to Valley Youth House, how do they do that?
Well, they certainly can first go to our website at valleyyouthhouse.org, and they'll find out all of our contact information. We continuously receive very valuable gifts and items from individuals who just stop by our shelter in Warminster. If our landlord's listening, we're always looking for landlords who are willing to rent their apartments to young adults who might not have the best credit history, might be just starting out in life, but would have the backing of the Valley Youth House to help get them started in an apartment. People can make cash donations. They can donate items that a homeless family might need for their apartment to get started. We're willing to take help in any way.
That's great. Hey, here's a question I always like to ask people, because I drive all over the county. I'm always looking for a great spot to grab lunch. You got any favorite places here in Bucks County that you like to stop for lunch?
I am particularly enjoy the crab cake sandwiches at Chambers 19.
Okay.
So if you like crab cake, stop by Chambers 19.
All right, Chambers 19, downtown Doylestown. It's been here for a long time. Well, Tom, thank you for the great work you guys are doing here in Bucks County, for joining me today to share your experience and knowledge leading Valley Youth House. Thank you to our listeners for your involvement in our community. Visit our Facebook page and like us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Join the conversation.
Foundation's Community Partnership believes that when we join forces, we're stronger. We are better able to support the behavioral health and human service needs of children and young adults in Bucks County. Join us again for FCP Conversations Online. Let's go farther together.